I started the recording just so you know. I don't do any intro or anything. All right, guys, we just cracked open our first beer. I got Dutch Shorn in here, Hang Loose. This guy's like dedicated his life to surfing, and I've known him most of my life. So it's great to have him in here. Thanks for coming in for the Real Guy Podcast.
Thanks for having me, dude. This is great. I haven't seen you in a while.
Yeah, dude, it'd be nice to catch up a little bit.
Yeah.
Let everybody know, like, you know, what you're doing currently now. Like I know you just started your summer surf camp, and Dutch is dedicated his life to surfing, and he's really passionate about it. It's one of the reasons I wanted to get him in here. It's fairly unique. And so what are you doing exactly, like, right now?
So right now is my time. It's my season.
Right.
So basically, full bore, Monday through Friday, 9 to 2:30, I'm starting my surf camps. So it's for the next 11 weeks. I'll be on Fort Lauderdale Beach between Sunrise and Oakland on the north end at 18th Street. And surf camp style. Kids, 50, 60 kids a day.
So the kids, because they're not in school, so it's that kind of camp. Yeah. So summer camp for the kids.
Summer camp.
What's the age like?
I've got, actually this week, I had a 3-year-old. It was pretty interesting.
Nice.
Which
3?
He was like a 6-year-old. He was outstanding. I'll show you some photos later.
Natural beach kid.
Amazing. And then usually it's from 4 years old to about 15 years old. Somewhere in there, 14, 15 years old.
And they basically get to hang out at the beach and do surf and stuff.
Yeah, we surf 90% of the time. We do beach games, skimboard, snorkel, just being outside, taking care of your child out in the sun. Being fun.
You know, something funny is I can almost remember you at that crazy young age paddling out, becoming a good surfer, and, you know, doing the surf thing. And that's like, what, 1984, 3?
Yeah.
You know, you were just like a little skeet and paddling out there with the big guys and catching waves. And I'm like, oh, that's Dutch. That's Sherry's brother there.
Yeah, totally. That was, that got me all started, man. Back, honestly, how many years ago was that? 35 years ago, probably.
Yeah. Yeah.
Or so.
Yeah.
Maybe more.
Yeah. Well, I think I had my 30-year reunion, so call it 35 to make it sense.
So I just loved it, and I kept doing it. And then I started working for the surf shop, BC Surf and Sport,
Surf Shop,
which I'm still working at the surf shop every Wednesday.
Really?
Yeah.
That's pretty good.
Hanging in there because I enjoy it. It's fun, and selling surfboards and communicating, hanging out, and talking surf.
The same owners?
Same owner.
Really?
One owner, Bruce Cromartie, yeah.
I remember him when we were kids.
Yeah, same dude.
Nice.
I've been there for 27 years, and I broke away. Once I was doing my surf camp, and I was doing BC, so I was like double fisting. It was like a lot of work.
Double timing it,
right?
Yeah.
I said, hey, man, once I do, I'm shooting for this number of kids. Once I hit like 500 kids a summer, I'm going to go part-time and concentrate more on my surf camp.
Right.
So I was working hard, and finally hit that number, and I was like, oh, my gosh. Then I let go of the shop a little bit and step more on the sand, and ever since, it's
very good.
Dream come true.
Now, I surfed pretty consistently up until I was maybe 35 years old.
I remember.
But like I was like never like I always did, you know, football and fishing and then surfing. But I mean, you really got into it. Did you ever get like where you were doing competitions and that kind of thing?
Yeah. I was into it pretty seriously because we had this group, man, this niche of rippers that would push each other really hard. So we were hitting it hard. And I did competitively, but like local competition, Eastern Surfing Association, NSSA, and stuff like that. And then being in the industry, I met a lot of pro surfers and friends. So then I got to travel with these guys, and I got to be in these destinations with these guys, Tahiti, Hawaii, Fiji, wherever, and be their board caddies. You know, like a golfer has a caddy.
Oh, really? I didn't know that.
Yeah,
That's
so
cool.
I'd be there. I'd be sitting in the channel with their surfboard as their backup board. So if something goes wrong with the board, if they break their board when they're surfing, I'm the guy responsible to get them the freaking board.
Get them the fresh one.
Which is like, it's 10 foot barreling, and you got to put yourself in harm's way, you know?
Kind of like a rodeo clown.
Dude, I'd say so, man. It's freaking
pretty hard, pretty
gnarly.
Heavy.
Yeah, I mean, good and bad, you know? I mean, it's...
I got to try to remember to use my surf terms when we're doing this. Right?
Yeah, of course.
No, that's cool. I had no clue there was like, I guess it makes a heck of a lot of sense. You need, the assistants.
Oh, yeah.
Those super pros. And then
It's not like I'm picking what size board they should ride or like a 5-iron or anything, but if they need their board after they break it, which they do many times,
and usually
we have
when
to
they
be
break
responsible for getting that board to
Yeah.
them in any situation.
and when they're breaking boards, usually the situations
If
are
you're
pretty
breaking
nuts.
a board, it's probably pretty heavy, you know?
That's
Like,
cool.
Yeah.
I did a few surfing destinations in the old days. Surfed in Panama a couple of
Yeah.
times, in Costa Rica a couple of
There you
times, and then, but I don't know, none of that stuff like turned me on like it did here on the East Coast. Like, I don't know, we like chasing the waves and trying to figure out where the break's gonna be.
That's part of the vibe, I mean, trying to find the wave and figure out where and spot check and have your boys call you and they're at this spot and you're here. How's it look up there? Like, that's part of the journey,
Yeah. It makes it a real sport where it's not like you just show up to a putt golf course and it just happens.
Yeah.
Like you got to use, the stuff that you've learned
100%.
and then, capitalize on it. And the more you learn, the more you do, the better you get.
Yeah.
And it's very similar to fishing. And a lot of guys, that make fishing their career or that are like dedicate their life to fishing, same thing,
Yeah.
And I'm sure there was times, when you were being the surf rat and people were like kind of looking down their noses like, hey, Dutch, why don't you get serious with yourself? All you're doing is spending time at the
Oh,
beach.
yeah. Like,
Because they did that when I was fishing all the time.
of course.
Dude, if you wouldn't spend so much time fishing, you could make something out of
Right?
yourself.
Like my sister, for instance, she's this corporate America. She's been with Disney for 25 plus years. She makes me look bad, right? I mean,
well, what'd you expect from her?
yeah,
Kid's a
she's
superstar.
making all this money, doing all this stuff. And then here I am, the surfer dude, but doing what I love
Right.
and traveling and spending time with my kids and being a father. And I wouldn't change a thing, man.
And I'm sure they look at it a lot differently now.
Oh, yeah. My dad's like, I'm so proud of you, son. You're awesome. Like, my son's a surfer. Like what dad says that, right?
No. I mean, well, things change. They realize that, it's more than just an occupation or, a paycheck. And they look and they're like, the kid is passionate about it. He's dedicated his life to it. And now you're feeding your family.
Yeah, that's the thing.
And you're still the surfer that you've always been.
I still surf when it's 1 foot. I paddle out and I call the boys on the text, hey, it's 1 foot, knee high, come, let's go surf the Clipper or whatever,
It's funny because I look at, all the, beautiful surfing shots and the vids that come out nowadays. And, don't get me wrong, I enjoy it. It's cool. But when you post, I watch your hang loose posts and I see, like some kids shredding on those 1.5 foot wind chop waves that we grew up on. And that brings a smile to my face. Yeah. And I'm looking, I'm like, oh, yeah, right on, because, that's, I don't know, fishing, surfing, golf, it's all, you put yourself in an arena.
Yeah.
And then you compete in that arena. And then, it turns out to be, it is what it is, what it is. But over the years, tell me some stories. Tell me something good. Like, I know some of these big-time surfers. And I've always seen them in the magazines. And every once in a while, I'd see one at a beach. And then you just kind of sit on the sand and watch them. And you're just like...
Yeah. I've got a few stories. I've got a lot of funny stories. Oh, gosh, I don't even want to go there. But we were in Tahiti. My buddy Chicken, John Doe. He used to own John Doe Clothing. And I got invited to Tahiti with the Hopgood brothers, CJ and Damien Hopgood, right? Actually, how I got invited was...
Those are the kids from...
Satellite Beach, Florida, right? CJ was the world
Salty
champion.
Crew or something?
Now CJ's part owner in Salty Crew,
I
actually,
heard about
which
that. Okay.
correlates with you a little bit. But so we're in Tahiti, and actually I was just driving home. I bought a Ranchero, a 1963 Ranchero. I'm driving on 95. I'm cruising home, and I'm stoked out of my mind. I got this old car that I've always wanted. And then Damien Hopgood calls me. He goes, "Hey, dude, we got an extra spot at the house in Tahiti if you want to come." I go, well, yeah, when? He's like, Tuesday. And it was like Thursday. So I had like 4 days, right?
Right.
Whatever it was, to put together this trip to travel halfway around the world. And I'm working at BC at that time, like full time, I think. So I'm like, oh shit, I got to figure this out. So then I talked to Bruce, BC owner. Hey, Bruce, man, I just got invited for the trip of a lifetime. Biggest swell on tap in 50 years.
What timing?
And I'm like, oh my God, I'm stressing out. I'm not going to surf it probably, right? But I'm just seeing what's going on. He's like, yeah, we'll get you there, man. No matter what it takes, we'll get you there. I'm like, oh, wow, man, this guy's got my back, you know? It was pretty cool. So then,
cool.
Driving my new truck, I'm like, dreams coming true. I've already been to Tahiti once with these guys, but this trip was like, wasn't expecting it, right? So we get there. Damien goes, hey, man, just bring big boards. Big boards only. When you need big boards, it's big waves. Dude, I surf like 4 or 5 foot waves, you know.
That's fairly
big
big
wave
here.
surfer anymore. I don't have anything to prove. So we get there. It's called Code Red. Did you hear about that storm in Tahiti? It's called Code Red. If you Google it, it's all over the internet. I think it was 2012 or 13. Biggest swell in 50 years. They wouldn't even let us out. Okay, so I get there the night before, hanging out. Everybody's like different. Like, so what you do is you stay at the end of the road in Tahiti. There's no hotels. You stay with families. So there's 20 pro surfers in this house, Mama Papa Teva's house. And then me, this regular guy, right, comes along. So I got invited. And then these guys, the vibe was like, everybody was acting different. They weren't all goofing around. They were all so serious.
Intensity level was high.
Barely swallow. Like, they knew it was like the biggest swell, and they had to step up to the plate. So finally, next morning comes, the Coast Guard or whatever for Tahiti goes, oh, no, there's no boats going out today. No boats in the channel. It's too rough. You can't, because what you do is you take the boat out, and then you anchor off in the channel, right? There's like buoys for the channel. They said it's too big, so no boats out. So all the boys are like, what, dude, we can't go out? Like, we're freaking out. Some of them didn't want to go out because it was like 50 foot, right? So finally, Damien Hobgood goes, Dutch, don't worry, dude. We're going to get out there. Don't worry. We'll get out there some way, even if we have to paddle out. So if you had to paddle from the house where we're staying, it was probably a good mile paddle just to get out there. You could sit in the channel and you could watch it and surf. So finally, they lift it, said, hey, you can get some boats out now. We had the sick boat, Panga boat. It's like nice for there. Usually it's a little tiller or whatever you call those boats out there. Get in the boat with all the boys, like Ace Buchan, which is a famous surfer. A couple other rippers, Jack Robinson, a couple other guys. We go out to the lineup. And as we pull up, the first guy toes into the wave. It was Freddy Petacchi. When I say toes into the wave, I mean it was inverted. This wave's like breaks 50 foot. You could only toe in because you couldn't paddle in because it was just too big to paddle in. The wave's going too fast. You can't keep up with the wave. So all of a sudden, we're out there. I'm taking photos. I wasn't even thinking about paddling out, obviously. Kelly Slater was a boat right in front of me. Taj Burrow, all the boys, they weren't even thinking about paddling out. Only the heavy hitters, like
the
heavy hitters, the big wave surfers came out. Taking photos, freaking out. We're in the channel. Ace Buchan's like, oh, dude, I'm feeling frothy. I got to jump in. He was getting seasick in the channel because it was so rough, right?
Whoa, all right.
It was like 4 foot in the channel, like rocking up and down. Didn't even think about it because it was insane. Best day of surfing. Where we stay is like 1.5 miles away, like I said. The waves would wash up all the way from the outside, all the way to the kitchen in our house. It was a foot deep throughout the house.
With like white
flooded.
water and foam and all that?
Yeah, because they haven't seen anything like that in 50 years. Huh. So that's just one story that, actually, to continue on, I have this pearl here, right? This pearl necklace.
All right.
That same day, we're all in the kitchen. The guys are like, oh my God, I can't believe this happened. This was the craziest thing I've ever seen. Like, they've never seen anything like it, these guys. And they've been surfing major waves their whole life. So then this old lady comes in the house, local, and she goes, oh, I'm selling pearls. Like, she couldn't speak English, right? Like, she had like a bracelet with 17 pearls on it. And I go, hey, I'll buy your pearls. Like, she goes, how much? $100, whatever, for like a bracelet for Tahitian pearls, right? No, it's $50 at an airport for one, you know, on the way out. So basically, I bought the pearl necklace. I know this is kind of weird, and then I took the pearls off the bracelet and I gave them to all my special friends. Like, that was such a special moment in my life that day.
The special friends that from that event.
From that day, just in general, my girlfriend, my best friends, just, you know, special time to have it because it means so much to me. My kids have it on their necklace and stuff like that. Just a little sentimental time. But that's one of the good stories I have about
It's a good story, and the pearl thing is somewhat spiritual.
Oh, it's crazy.
You know, where you want other people that are close to you to have something that meant that much to you.
Oh, yeah. Absolutely, yeah.
So I think surfing's very spiritual. Like when I surfed, I mean, it was one of the few times where I could like not talk to anybody for like, you know, 2 or 3 hours and focus on the ocean and I don't know, the shit that went through your mind and stuff while you were doing that. Some days, you know, you were like the hot dude and you had the greatest session. It was all about catching the waves and the surf. Then other days, you know, there's a lot of seaweed and the surfing sucked and you were getting stung by jellyfish, but you're sitting out there waiting for a wave. And it's just, I don't know, I think it brings out all the aspects of life. And if you know, if you can feel that while you're out there.
I mean, people say that, but it's the God's honest truth. The saying is there's nothing a good day of surfing won't cure. If you have a bad day, you get broken up with your girlfriend, you're having a bad day at the office with your wife, whatever, go surf. Honestly, just like you said, you don't even have to talk to anyone. It just clears your head, right? Just get out there and be at one with the ocean.
I think it makes it what it is, you know. I mean, catching a wave and riding a wave and being radical, sure, that's fun. That's what you do it for. It's what you practice for. But the other side of it, the mental side of it, the spiritual side of it, fishing's very, very similar.
I was going to ask you that. Is that how you feel out there when you...
Well, it's very similar for a lot of people, you know. And if you put in... I always say, especially, you know, we have this network called the Real Guy Network. And it's just the people that are really into fishing. And they're not all necessarily experts. You know, some of them are big corporate dudes. Some of them are, you know, pure rats and anywhere in between. But everybody's in the same boat. You got to, you know, if you want to be good at it, you got to practice. You have to put yourself in a position where you will get your ass kicked over and over and over again. And then if you put yourself in that position and you don't, it makes you, you know, more attracted to, you know, what you're doing. And, and yeah, very, very similar with the fishermen. I don't think, though, I think because fishing, you have more tools, you know, and like a lot of different hooks, rigs, equipment. It's not as basic, fundamental as just surfing.
Board shorts and a surfboard,
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, so that's the disconnect between fishing and surfing. But
you get to express yourself like, hey, I'm going to drop the planer today, or I'm going live baiting today, or, you know, you get to kind of express yourself that way, what you're feeling, or
now you got a new boat recently, right?
Yeah, I've been I love fishing, like just almost as much as I love surfing. I swear it's freaking amazing. But I'm just getting into it. I've 2-3 years now, right? But yeah, I have a little 21 Parker. I go out once or twice a week offshore.
All right.
I love it, man. Live bait and flying the kite. That's my favorite thing.
So you're digging the net.
So amazing, dude. I scream like a kid every time there's a bite. What? You know, it's like...
Yeah, I mean, your neighbor told me you were getting a boat way back when, and then not far after that, you kind of reached out to me and said, "Hey, you know, I just want to try to get my kid out
That's
there.
Right.
What do you think we can do?" And I was like, "Cool." Yeah. And then I would go up and down the river, and I saw I think it was a new boat that you bought, and then I saw the second boat that you bought, and I
had to upgrade because...
No, and that's what was going through my mind. I'm like, oh, okay, Dutch is like, you know, kind of like you start off with a foam board. Yeah, then you get, you know.
Exactly.
Yeah, and I was like, oh, Dutch is actually, you know, doing it.
Yeah,
and
that's
then
exactly what happened.
And then I saw some of your posts, you know, where, you know, some of your posts where you spent some time fishing and all that. I think that's great. You got kids into it? They like it?
Yeah, they're into it. my daughter's really into it. My son, both of them are actually really into it. But we, if the bite's not too good, they kind of get a little bored after a while, and
well, that's never gonna change.
just lose interest a little bit. So they don't have the patience.
That's not gonna change till they have kids.
Yeah. So, yeah, I imagine.
But then getting the kids out there and making them be out there, and they learn what patience actually is, know, and then it'll grow on them, and then you'll get better and better at it, and then together, just like surfing, But I think it's great. The man, we get a lot of kids that are into our network and post the pics and videos and all that, and I don't know, with the social media and everything, and the kids, God knows what the hell's going through their mind and everything. But I can tell, when a kid's just, consistently posting, I don't care what he's catching, but he's consistently posting fish. I know that the kid's actually, that doesn't happen by accident.
Yeah.
So he's into it. He's trying.
Yeah, of course.
And he's building his, whatever makes him high from fishing.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then they come up to me and they want to know, different stuff, and I always try to help.
Like, fishing's hot, right? I mean, it's better than ever right now, right? I mean, the industry's booming.
The industry's booming. We're going through like a huge transition, I think, though, in the fishing industry, and then I think, just like everything else, people want the end reward the first month they start.
Yeah. Trust me.
Yeah. Like, I mean, like the story you said about Tahiti. I mean, that's a lot, that story's, that's a highlight of your life.
Yeah.
And you couldn't have made it happen all by yourself.
Yeah. After 30 years of surfing, that's when it happened.
Right.
So
I see the people, there's a big trend, for fishing, but man, they start, this month and they want to catch, 100-pound tarpon. Yeah. Like, how do I do that? And I'm looking at them. I'm like, well, you might want to fish for half a dozen years or something, and then it might be a little bit easier for you. But so like there's like a big crossroad in fishing, and then the person is different. Like your dad and my dad are from a school where, like, if you had a boat, it was like having a family member. Mm-hmm. Whatever it took to keep that boat running, and you didn't mind spending a half a day on a Sunday working on it. And then that was your friggin' boat.
Yeah.
Today, people buy and sell boats. They could care less. They finance the goddamn things. Yeah. It's just, so, it's.
I feel you. I know what you're saying.
You see where I'm going with all that?
Absolutely. Yeah. 100%.
And then, like, a lot of the localism is out of it. Like in your neighborhood, you still got Carl's Bait and Tackle. It's still there. Mm-hmm. But they're dinosaurs over there.
Yeah.
And it's so hard for them son bitches to stay in business. They got Bass Pro Shops a mile and a half away.
Yeah, totally.
And so you go into Bass Pro Shops, and that's like your go-to fishing place now. You talk to an 18-year-old kid.
Yeah.
I mean, at least the kid's got a job. It's nice. Okay, he's there.
Yeah.
But the localism is out.
Yeah.
Especially, here in the Tri-County area, And that kind of stinks because, growing up, my dad was always into the industry. And you just knew everybody.
Yeah.
And you wished everybody well. And now you look and you're like, where the hell is everybody? You know what I mean?
Oh, yeah.
And then friggin' Bass Pro, they're just like sitting out there just crushing, the local guys. But I guess we're still fairly lucky. LMR's still open down the street. Yeah. They do a good job. And Carl's is still open. And a couple of new guys are starting. I hope they do good.
Yeah. It's a tough industry. I mean, that way,
Well, I think the surf industry is fairly tough, too.
Yeah.
It's not quite as like, I don't know. I mean, you still got BC. And,
everything, though, is online right now, right? So back in the day, we had all the boys were working at the shop. It's all about customer service. It still is about customer service, but everybody knew everybody.
So the localism's getting taken out.
It was there. It was a vibe. We had everything going for us. Now, dude, it's like Amazon. It's all these other online shops where you're just getting the best price. Everyone knows, hey, I'm a size 31. I'm going to buy my shorts online. I don't need to go into BC and go see Dutch today. But, you know.
I get delivered to my house, sit in the AC. Yeah, it's the way things. Yeah, it's the way things go. What about the surf spots? Are they? Well, I mean, like in the old days, you had locals that surfed their local spots, and when the surfing was good, you went there and you surfed. Sometimes with them, sometimes they were cool, sometimes they weren't. But there was like hardcore localism. You get any of that anymore?
Like, so, first off, if there's waves and you go to Fort Lauderdale Beach, you'll see 4 people out on the whole beach.
Right.
Back in the day,
there's 4 spots with 10, 15, 20 on each one.
Exactly.
Right.
So I'm like, dude, where did that go? So what I'm trying to do is with my surf school, I'm trying to continue. Like these kids come surf and they surf for the summer, and I want to try to continue on, right? I've been doing after school programs and other activities and clinics throughout the year to try to continue the kids from surfing to surf, but soccer and other activities get in your way, school and all stuff, right?
A lot of soccer.
But like Lauderdale lost its vibe. I don't know what happened to the surf community. Deerfield still has that little surf town, so it's kind of cool. It's like the Huntington Beach of Florida, little surf vibe up there. But if there's waves, it's like hills. It's Deerfield, it's Delray, it's Spot in Boca that has a spot. That's the kids don't know. They just go there like, oh, Boca. Like I hear that's gonna be the spot because everyone says it, you know.
Right.
So there's not much localism, but you always respect your elder, you know. But
still like a pretty decent hierarchy out there. I mean, there was a serious...
I wish it was a little more, like the kids respect a little more, but...
I mean, you remember the hierarchy here?
Yeah,
in
man,
Fort Lauderdale?
like you had to freaking step up to the plate. Like these guys, they caught the waves, and then you get scraps. That's just respect.
Dude, all right, so I was more into like the Water Brothers crowd. Remember Pete Polito?
Are you kidding me?
Yeah.
Like that's who I looked up to my whole life.
Dude, Pete...
Literally.
Yeah. Now, Pete was he was an inspiration for me for not just surfing.
Man, everybody, I guess, right?
Yeah. And, you know, he would load you up in his truck and take you to wherever the surf was 100%.
Good. 100%.
And then when you were out here, I mean, I can remember Pete.
He was a great surfer, by the way.
He was a great surfer. He was great to surf with.
Yes.
Like, he would let you get your wave. Yep. And if you blew it, he'd let you know you blew it, and then you wouldn't get another one for the rest of the day. But if
I've been there,
right? If you were having a good session and you were on fire, he was helping you. He would make sure you caught the next wave.
Yeah.
And then you had the older dudes that you didn't know that shredded.
Yep.
And you just kind of stayed to the side and watched.
Yep. And you always wanted to try to earn your respect from them. You'd get their scraps that they didn't catch, but then you'd always look over your shoulder. Hey, I wonder if he saw me catch that wave.
So that's not going on down there?
No.
That's
gone, dude.
That's hard to...
I want to try to bring it back some way. I don't know how.
That's a big part of my memory.
Major. Like growing up, man, that's why I'm here, I wish we had that again.
There was a guy that fished here, like I fish for tarpon, named Mark Croca when we were kids. Mm-hmm. And now he's like a big-time famous guide in the Isla Morada and all that. And he was a big inspiration for me over the years because, my dad was always in that big game fishing.
Mm-hmm. Same with my dad, yeah.
Yeah, millionaire dudes, running around the islands and doing all that kind of stuff. And, I was able to ride that, when I was a kid and everything. But, that ride only lasted, so long.
Yeah.
Yeah. But I kind of forgot where I was going with this. But anyway, this the surfing and the fishing and the way I don't know, just put it this way. It's a good thing I had Croca. It's a good thing I had Pete Polito, Pete was the surfer inspiration of my life. Mark Croca was the inshore fisherman of my life. My dad introduced me to, the bigwigs in the marlin scene.
Yeah.
And I got to realize, there's real pros. There's guys that can feed their families doing what I love. Same way you're doing with fishing. Now, just so that, the audience realizes is like Dutch and I have known each other for 35 years.
Dude, your sister was my girlfriend in like the 7th grade.
Right.
Mitzi Maggio.
I tell people that story.
It's crazy.
That's funny. And it's funny because there was only maybe, after your age group, it got a little bigger. But before you, literally maybe 200 kids.
Yeah.
In all of downtown Fort Lauderdale that you might run into at the beach or fishing on a seawall or whatever. And we grew up as a minority here in the United States. And when I first went off to school to University of Connecticut, I kind of looked back and I was like, man, growing up in Fort Lauderdale, geez, our school system wasn't as good. And friggin' these people. But now that I'm 50, I'm like, man, we were lucky to grow up on Fort Lauderdale Beach.
Oh, yeah.
As a minority and see what we saw and experience what we experienced and got to do what we like to do. And growing up here is you watched people chase dreams. You watch a lot of people fail.
Yeah.
Lots of people fail. But you also see the people that succeed. And when you grow up here, you have a different outlook on life. I mean, there was the biggest change in my life was leaving Fort Lauderdale and going to the University of Connecticut. It was like, I had no clue people even thought that way. And they had no clue.
They're like, who's this dude? Like,
what do you think? The guy's got Adidas on and gold chains, and he's talking about fishing, and surfing and all this stuff. Hold on a second. And then I'm at the University of Connecticut, and I'm telling the dudes that, yeah, I'm going to be working when I go home. We're going to do some marlin tournaments, and then first I'm going to go to, Grand Bahama, and then I'm going to go to Treasure Key, and then we're going to way out to St. Thomas to fish the St. Thomas tournament, and they're like looking at me like I got 3 heads. Like, what do you mean you're fishing for, your summer work? And I explained to them that, you can make a few bucks, washing the boat and rigging the baits and sitting in the cockpit and doing whatever the captain tells you to do, and you can make $150 a day. And they were like, not that they couldn't even say that they couldn't get it. They couldn't even comprehend what I was talking about. Yeah, they got paper routes. They're cutting lawns. Their dads fucking put on a suit and tie every day their whole life, and they had no clue, no clue where we were coming from. And then the world's so crazy now. It's like, all right, so the world's gotten crazy enough where it's finally caught up with Fort Lauderdale.
Yeah,
and we're ahead of the game by 30 years.
That's funny.
Yeah. Do you ever go up to Disney and see your sister?
Yeah. I take the kids up. They're almost maybe kind of burnt out.
Are the kids Disney burned out?
We kind of hit it hard.
I bet.
SpaceMountain.com.
And then what you could just call her and you get all the VIP
she's
passes.
Like, when do you want to come? All right, I'll get you, everything. Yeah, but.
Dude, that's hard to burn out on Disney. Some of Nicole's friends and stuff. I mean, dude, they're going twice a month.
Oh yeah, there's some hardcore Disney people around here, man.
Maybe that's where all the surfers went. They're Disney people now instead of surfing people.
Yeah, I'm kind of. I could go back, but whatever they want to do.
Yeah, it's all. Yeah, it is. It does. It gets to be all about the kids.
Yeah.
Now, any of your kids really good at surfing?
Yeah, they surf. And soccer and other things, like I said earlier, but they're pretty good.
And they enjoy it?
They enjoy it.
And they want to be at the beach?
We went to Hawaii this year and Costa Rica.
Very good.
And all they want to do in Hawaii was surf every day. I go, hey, let's go to a waterfall. Let's go to Pearl Harbor. All this stuff. Let's go surf. I was like, what? All right.
Nice.
Kind of cool. And then Costa Rica, we went. It was a little rough. We couldn't find a real small spot in the area, but they surfed and they boogie boarded. They were in the water and stuff, but
it's good. They want to surf first.
Yeah.
And then everything else comes second.
Yeah.
That's strong. You're teaching them well.
I kind of just let it happen. I didn't want to push it.
That's how you got to do it.
At first I was kind of eager and I was pushing. And I'm like, oh man, this isn't going to work out if I keep this up. So I did step back a little bit and let them come to me, and now it's good. They want to get sponsored, and my daughter's like, oh, I want to get sponsored, and how do you get sponsored for surfing? How do you be an ambassador? I'm like, oh wow, that's cool. She's asking that stuff.
Yeah, she's thinking. She's got it. She's trying to put it all together.
Yeah, it's great.
Victoria, she did your surf camp.
Yeah,
2 or 3 years.
She's a good surfer. Yeah.
She's she's one of the more natural kids that can just kind of surf.
Mm-hmm.
I took her. I mean, she was 4 or 5, she could, swim, and finally, you could take it getting toppled over and all that. And we got on the foam board, and she stood up and she started surfing like immediately. And then she actually went to the beach and surfed, and she actually went to Hawaii and surfed, and then I can't get her like
soccer,
or
whatever.
I just like, and then I'm like looking at her. I'm like, some kids would die for that natural ability just to kind of to be able to just do it. Yeah. I mean, I couldn't just do it when I started. No. And I remember kids that could.
Yeah, and you're like, dude, man, I have to work so hard to do this, and this guy's.
Do you remember DR?
Yeah, of course.
Okay.
He didn't only rip surfing. He was a skateboarder that was amazing. And
he was like a year or two younger than me, right? And he started surfing after me. And he paddles out there, and he's good, like immediately. And I'm like the macho jock, and I'm looking at him like, this little fucker, really? But he had that natural.
Yeah,
he just,
for sure.
He was just a great surfer and a great dude.
I haven't seen that guy in a long time, actually.
I haven't even thought about him in a long time.
I haven't either until you just said that name.
I don't know. You sitting in front of me is bringing back a lot of memories. I got to tell you. Little Yankee football.
Oh, my gosh, man.
Your dad was, I don't know, like I came from Holiday Park, to Little Yankee, and it was the first time I ever played with white kids. And your dad was coaching for another team.
Yeah.
And I'm just trying to, like fit in, but I was pretty good out there and stuff. And he came over to me and introduced himself to me. And told me I was doing a good job. He kind of patted me on the back and then went over and was doing his thing. And I'm looking at the guy, and I'm just like, oh, wow, I guess I do fit in over there with these kids and stuff. But I remember that always.
I never knew that story.
Yeah.
That's cool.
Yeah, it was cool.
Yeah.
And your dad was always cool. And then, like, I've been taking people fishing up the river, and Dutch's dad lives right on the river. So I go by his house, and I tell people, that guy right there was... he was a football coach of mine because in the All-Stars, he was one of the coaches. Mm-hmm. And that's how I refer to him, even to this day.
Yeah, a lot of people call him Coach Shorn still. Hey,
Did
Coach Shorn. Yeah, like.
I'm telling you, he was a good guy. He touched a lot of kids. And it was guys like that I try to take after. Yeah. Like, I see the kids come up to me and they want to take a picture or they want to, look at the bait or anything. And I look at them and I think about guys like your old man. And I say, I want to do that for them.
Yep. I do the same thing.
I know you do because I watch.
Yep. Literally same thing.
I remember Nicole asking me about leaving Victoria at the beach all day. And I was like, lady, well, she grew up in Brooklyn.
Okay.
She wasn't at that beach when she was 8. I was like, my mom used to drop me off at the same spot when the freaking, 10 o'clock in the morning, and then got me when the sun went down. The same place you're doing the camp, right? So when I'm watching you do that camp, and I'm just, it makes me feel good. And then I'm like, there's a local kid that's been busting his ass for 30-something years that dedicated his life to surfing, and I got to get him in here on the Real Guy podcast.
Oh, that's right, yeah.
Because a real guy isn't a fisherman necessarily, Dutch.
Well, I fish now, right?
Well, now, you're a fish, you want to get into fishing, and that's cool. But it has nothing to do with that. Like, we always say real guy, and until people, really get into the videos and really get into the social network, they think it's just fishing, but it's not. It's about real guys doing real things. And then if you are a real guy and you're doing real things, then you want to encourage the other people.
Yep.
And I tell people, being a real guy breaks down all the barriers. Racial barriers, age barriers, hobby barriers, everything. Because you look over and you know that the guy did what you had to do. And when had the same bumps and bruises. Yep. And you know that guy could never get to where he is unless he went through that. And then...
So true.
Right? And then you respect that person. And now you feel like he's your peer and you're his peer. And you don't even know him very well.
Yep.
You know what I mean?
So true, yep.
So, I just... I don't know. There's value in life. And in this town... we've seen a lot. And there's a lot of dough in this town. And you realize that there's hardly any value in all that dough.
Yeah.
But when you're a real guy and you're doing real things and you get up every day and you're inspired and you get up every day and you're ready to work hard, that's value.
Yeah.
all those rich son bitches that live over, on the intercoastal, they got those 200-foot yachts and all that stuff. I'm not saying they have no value, but that money and all that flash that we grew up around, it's good to know that means nothing.
Yeah.
I'm not saying none of those guys understand what we're talking about, but a lot of people think that if you're successful like that, there's value in it. I don't see it. You know what I mean? I know more people that are loaded. I worked for them and worked on their boats and stuff, and they're all screwed up. Not all of them, not every single one, but just because they're where they are doesn't make their lives better.
Oh, yeah. No.
You know? And yeah, look, at the outside looking at, dude, you got to feel for these people that are moving into town now. All right, so you move into Fort Lauderdale, you spend $500,000 on a piss poor house. And then you live down the street from people that spend $500,000 at the spa every month. And then you're supposed to fit in. And they don't laugh about it because they don't get it.
Yeah.
They didn't see it happen.
Yeah. No.
You always had a few bucks to live in Fort Lauderdale, but this is just retarded. What's been going on the last, I don't know, call it 15 years?
Yeah.
It's like if you have money, and you don't have a place in Fort Lauderdale, it's like, well, how much do I got to spend to get it? So the prices just keep going up. I don't know. And they're not surfing. You get any of those people from Harbor Beach and stuff?
I have a lot of high-end clients, yeah.
Yeah. I get them, and I take them fishing for one day.
Yeah.
And then the next time they go fishing is when they see me again. A lot of that. But anyway, before we wrap up the podcast, I just I don't know. I think when I reached out to you to come over here, and I know that you're busy, and I know you were starting your camp and everything, but I think you getting over here right away and doing it, that's just your style. You're a mover, you're a shaker, you want to do things, you don't stop, you don't slow down. And
that's my thing. I try to be consistent, right? You can't slow down. You got to keep rolling, being consistent. Once you slow down, drag your feet. That's it.
It's true. You got to keep pace, and you got to constantly set the bar. And I've watched you over the years, and if you can't tell, I'm proud of you.
I appreciate that.
I think you've done a great job, and good luck with the kids.
Thank you.
I hope you guys catch a ton of fish, and if I can help you with that, you let me know.
Yeah, I might take you up on that.
Well, this is the time of year to do it.
There's some fish out there right now, I know.
Oh, there's good fishing in
good right now.
The first 6 months of the year, people, I apologize to them
in advance.
In December.
Say, hey,
and I'm like, listen, I'm going to be out of touch for a little while, if I don't get back to you or I don't call you or whatever.
Yeah.
And then this time of year, I'll spend serious time and energy reaching back to everybody.
Yeah.
Even my own family members, like over in Mitzi and the people who live on the West Coast. Like I haven't,
Yeah.
And this time of year is the time. So if you want to get out there and do something with the kids, or even if you just want to try to go do something with us, you let me know. And I'll be honking at you when I drive down the beach and see all the kids out there. And let me know if you start seeing the snooks and the pre-pod and the surf this year.
Oh, yeah. Last year you texted me that.
I started to get reports. I'm like, wow, shit, Dutch ought to know.
Yeah, I'm there freaking every morning.
Yeah, because when the bait gets thick down there and the pre-pod happens, we always make an announcement for the Real Guys and the Real Guy Network, and then they start going down to the beach and fishing. And it's one of the few ways to fish where it's cool to take the 8-year-old.
Oh, yeah.
And you roll down there
That's
and
right there,
walk around in the sand, and you can go swimming and goofing around, and then you can go, maybe find a snook down there in the trough or whatever. So, yeah, keep me posted on the fishing reports down there. Have a great summer. Good luck with the new season. And thanks for coming in and being on the Real Guy podcast. I really appreciate it.
Thanks for having me. It's awesome.
How do they get a hold of you?
hangloosesurfschool.com.
Okay, hangloosesurfschool.com.
Instagram at hangloosesurfschool.com as well.
He's got a cool logo. I follow him on Facebook, Hang Loose. And Dutch Shorn. He's a real guy, and I'm glad he came in today. Thanks.